People admire the life you have, the lifestyle, your success, your peace and confidence. But what they don't see are the nights that you cried yourself to sleep, the times you had to cut loved ones off, the relationships you outgrew, and all of the opportunities that you had to turn down to protect yourself. So the funny thing is, people want your life that you've built, but they don't want the pain, the discipline, or the sacrifice that it took in those lonely seasons to get to where you are now. And what makes this even more of a sticky situation is that social media has been able to perpetuate this even more, because a lot of times people are judging you based off of outcomes. You know, if you're one of those people that shares your big wins on social media, or if you share positive things that are happening in your life, people are going to judge you off of your outcomes. They see the home, the vacations, the body, the business, but they're not seeing the process behind that. And that's kind of where the harm comes in. And am I saying to get off social media and stop sharing your life? Absolutely not. But people need to stop watching face so hard. You know what I mean? Like, people need to stop coveting so bad. Like, the thing is, no one sees the years of you being invisible, no one noticing you or acknowledging you for your accolades or for your success. They also don't realize how you had to go through a lot of uncertainty and self-doubt, and people doubting you and not believing in you, and you having to fight this uphill battle alone with little to no support. No one saw that. They only see the outcomes. And so they see a woman with a thriving business, and you're being praised now, or you will soon be praised, because I know all of my girlies out there who are striving towards something. You guys are very, very close to your goals. Energetically, that's where we all are heading. And so they're going to see, or they are currently seeing, the fruits of your labor. But no one saw the 3 years that you spent living with your parents or living with a roommate, building that business in silence, working your 9 to 5 while also trying to cultivate your business. No one saw all the hard labor that you put in to create what's currently here now, but they are coveting what you have now. How interesting. When it comes to your body and being in shape, no one cared or remembers when you were depressed, overweight, or underweight, not feeling your best self, your confidence lacking because you didn't have the body you desired. No one thinks about or remembers when you were taking yourself to the gym every single day after a heartbreak or after a hard time, losing someone, a death in the family, being sick for a really long time, being down and out for whatever reason, depression, who knows. No one cares or remembers or even thinks about that when they see the finished product of your body. No one thinks about all the hard times that you had to fight through to still dedicate time for your wellness and well-being. But they want to hate on you for that banging body you have now. Interesting. And it's like there's that saying where people want your fruit but not your fasting. They don't know what you went without to have what it is that they admire. But they're so quick to put their mouth on you and pass judgment and covet. But they're not willing to do the work on themselves to achieve what you have. And it's just like, it's so crazy because people want quick fixes and they want things now, but they're not willing to put in the work. They want to be lazy, but they also want your blessings at the same time. And I don't get it. I don't get how those two things go hand in hand. They don't want to take risks, but they want your blessings. They don't want to cut people off, but they want your blessings. Don't people realize that in order to get your level of blessings, they have to make sacrifices? They have to cut certain people out of their life. They have to take risks. So if you're not ready to go to those levels, if you're not ready to be disliked by people for choosing yourself, if you're not ready to deal with humiliation rituals, people hating on you, people sending you evil eye, trying to do witchcraft, if you're not ready for those types of levels of spiritual warfare and pushback for simply trying to level up your life, don't covet what I have. Don't covet what I have. You know what I'm saying? How many of you guys can relate? There's a lot of people that hate on you, talk down on you, want your life, trying to compete with you, but they have no idea what it costs you to stand in the shoes and to stand in the position you're in today. But they got all this mouth about what they would do if they were in your position or how they would do it differently. Let's really get into it. When it comes to sacrifice, people are not ready for that. People are not ready for the sacrifice that your life takes. They're not ready for losing friends who couldn't handle growth. They're not ready for the time that it takes. So the no weekends, to go out. You're staying in to study, to build, to rest. They're not taking the time to do those things. They're not taking the time to learn their craft the way you learn your craft, go to the networking events, putting in the time and effort to perfect something. They're also not investing money into their craft, career, or interest the way you did. They don't want to invest in therapy, coaching, higher education. Instead, they're looking for instant gratification, which is what I was just talking about. People don't want to put in the time, money, losses, discomfort to get to where they want to go. They don't. No one wants to do it. They just want the outcome. They just want what you have because you make it look so good. And I have a serious problem with that because people like to diminish the things that you achieve and try to get after without realizing that it was not easy. It didn't come easy. Just because you may look a certain way doesn't mean that things were just handed to you. A lot of times, beautiful women have to work a lot harder because people will do things in spite of your beauty. So you have to jump through more hurdles than the average person. And the saddest part about all of this is that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who start to shift. When you begin to level up your life outside of their reach, outside of where they thought they would see you go, they become cold, less supportive, and more competitive. And what's really going on is the envy is growing because at one point you guys were on the same level. At one point you guys wanted the same things. You were headed toward the same places. But then as you get older, naturally interests change, lifestyles change. Everyone's on a different trajectory. So when you start to elevate in a different space in your own lane, which they should be focusing on their lane, when you start to elevate, you remind them of the version of themselves that they abandoned. So maybe they didn't have it in them to take the risk, even though they really, really wanted to. They didn't have it in them to take the risk, to be the laughing stock of the friend group, to be the person who everyone's pointing and whispering about. They weren't willing to be that risk taker and that person who stepped outside of the box. So when you do it, and you actually succeed at it, it's like this burning feeling for them. It's uncomfortable for them because they deep down wanted to do the same thing you're doing, but they abandoned that side of them because of fear of not being accepted by people, fear of being talked about, fear of judgment. And the other part about people who are closest to you, a lot of them low-key believe you have it easier. Even the friends that you cry to about things you've gone through in life, a lot of them still subconsciously believe that you have it easier because of how you look or because of whatever situation you're in currently. But they never asked about your battle. They never really got into the nitty-gritty of what got you here and why you're here. Only the real people in your life who are genuinely for you will love and respect you for the things that you endured and for how you are showing up today, for how you were able to get through it today. The people who want to keep you at arm's length and want to compete with you, they're never going to ask you to go into detail about what you battled with, because then they would have to also realize that not only did you struggle through all this mess, you also came out of it 10 times greater. And you're successful, and you look good, and you don't look like what you've been through. So that would probably make them hate you even more. So at the end of the day, ladies, these people want the win, but they do not want the war. They don't want the struggle. They don't want the heartache, the friendship breakups, the splitting up of a family. They don't want those things. They want comfortability. So move around. Do not shrink your blessings down. Do not feel like you need to appease people. Do not feel like you're doing too much. People just want what they can't have. Simple. These people are simply wanting something that they have not worked for yet and that they are hating on you for, which is a terrible start to a very long journey for them. So ladies, drop down in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to have a conversation about this a little bit further. I'll also be leaving my email in the description box so you can share your stories with me there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.